does it with me, ShiningNathan, and today the tea's a little bit heretical, if you don't mind it a little bit, and that is we're talking about the Adeptus Mechanicus. So be sure to turn on that notification bell, like and subscribe, and comment where you're listening to this from. Now let's get into this piping hot tea. Now, the Adeptus Mechanicus, or as I like to call them, the Pray About It mechanics, they are based off of Mars. Now, when you want to envision them in your head, just think of sometimes tentacled but highly cybernetically advanced, not much human priests in robes, right? Because they believe the flesh is weak, so the older they get, the more cybernetic enhancement they get to where there's less biological stuff too. Like I said, they're based on Mars. Mars used to actually be very lush and green because it was terraformed, but they lost that during the Age of Strife. More on that. Well, now, the heretical part, from what I've been told about the Mechanicus, is they don't really worship the Emperor. They kind of do, but they kind of don't. They worship what's called the Omnicide, or the Machine God, and they've kind of like gotten away with it because allegedly they say that that's also the Emperor. But they pray to the machine spirits, and they don't really innovate anymore. They just kind of keep things running. And they forget how some technologies are made all the dang time. But they do have a lot of assets that we require. I mean, heck, I had a tech priest here yesterday breathing at my climate control up here in the spire because I wasn't about to get all hot and sweaty up here. Anyway, the Adeptus Mechanicus used to be the Mechanicum. They reside on Mars. Now, there was a time where Terra and Mars, they had their own empires that they proliferated across the stars. Mars created forge worlds throughout the galaxy. Same thing with Terra with its colonies. And then came the Age of Strife. Before that was the Dark Age of technology, where humankind had reached its pinnacle, creating things like standard template constructs, or STCs. These are important in a little bit. Now, when the Age of Strife happened, Mars went into a big civil war, and eventually the cult of the Mechanicum rose to be prominent, which eventually became the Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, their belief is that every piece of technology has a spirit. They worship the machine god, and so they pray to any pieces of technology. Now, after the Age of Strife, our illustrious god emperor went to Mars to attempt to unify, and they entered into what is called the Treaty of Olympus Mons, where basically the Mechanicus, or the Adeptus Mechanicus, would provide the emperor with ships, titans, technology, weapons, all of that through their forges, and the emperor would respect their autonomy and religious. That is why our emblem has two heads. The eagle has two heads. One's for Holy Terra and one's for Mars. Now, Mars became the Imperiums, Forge Masters at that point, searching for technology, the STCs, but they never innovate, because to innovate, to create new things, is heresy to them, because everything that is already perfect and technologically advanced was made during the Dark Age of technology. So to create something new is a big no-no. And they have things like the Skitarii legions, they have the Titans, saw one not that long ago, and night houses, and they produce our ships, they create our guns, they create all of our technology that we require to fight the God Emperor's illustrious wars. And then, unfortunately, during the Great Crusade, they were pinnacle to our success in spreading out and unifying mankind. They still operate autonomously within their own forge worlds, having their own things they need to do, own focuses like finding STCs. But unfortunately, during the Horus Heresy, they did have a big schism. Half of the chunk of them went to be loyalists with the Emperor, but a chunk of them sided with Horus and became the Dark Mechanicum, and they tried to research because they were mad that the Emperor wouldn't let them research certain technology. So they research forbidden tech like AI, and they create demonic war machines. The schism left a permanent wound within the Adeptus Mechanicus, but the Adeptus Mechanicus remained powerful but vigilant against tech heresy. Now, we are very reliant upon the Adeptus Mechanicus, and we are grateful for everything that they give us. They have a lot of political influence, and they are on the constant search for STCs. They will send whole fleets if they hear of just one STC, because a standard template construct was kind of like an all catch-all. During the dark age of technology, our colonist ships had them on them, and so did the Mechanicum. And it would basically fabricate and extrapolate this planet. We have this, so then they would say, this is the thing you need. Here it is, let's make it. And it would produce it. The Mechanicus are always on the search, but I've heard the reason why they're always on the search is because they keep forgetting how to make things they just made yesterday. I know. And for them to innovate is heresy. And they get around the whole heresy thing because they say that the Omnicide, their machine god, is their Omnicide. He is the Emperor. Sorry, I'm all kerfuddled. Now, they have ritual over reason, so they'll pray over every gun, every bolt, because they believe it has a spirit. And they'll only maintain the machines. But sometimes they forget how to build them. They don't just build a machine, but they do prayers and incense and hymns to appease the machine spirit within. Now, from what I heard, the Titans are especially need that a lot because it's a very powerful machine spirit. Now, Adeptus Mechanicus, they all pray about it, priest mechanics. And we are very grateful for them. That is the overview and the tea on them. We always got to be watching out for them because sometimes their things won't align with our things. Anyway, I hope you like this one, this little tea I had on the Adeptus Mechanicus. I can go more into the Titan legions or their night houses or into their history in general. But if you want longer, more in-depth history or details, go to other pages like Luton 09 or Westhammer. They're great resources to give you more in-depth, minutia, and delicious nuggets that I myself just cannot give you because I get befuddled and I get exhausted. As always, I hope you enjoyed this telling of 40k brunch gossip and lore. If you enjoyed my content, consider becoming a patron on Patreon for as low as $3 to $5 a month. And a special thank you to all my patrons who make this possible. I truly am grateful every single day. As always, you take care and glory to the Imperium and to the Empire.